just like that, we are here at Scout HQ with Dirk Smith. Dirk, welcome to the Scout Podcast.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you. And I guess for our listeners, for the first time who are meeting you, it might be cool to just give us a little bit of background into who you are and how you arrived in Montana.
So from the beginning?
Maybe let's start with from Texas and your journey in Scouts.
Okay, so most recently, I was one of the HR directors at the national office. I went there in September of 2014, and I worked with boards to select CEOs, mainly in the Northeast, but all over the country.
Okay.
Did promotions, taught out Scouting University on HR, mostly HR issues, worked in how they could advance in their career, professional scouters. And so I did that until May of this year.
Okay.
And I came to Montana in May. I started May 16th.
So you've been in Montana now 6 months.
Yes.
And what are your first impressions of Montana?
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful state.
Awesome.
I mean, almost like I got to pinch myself sometimes. I'm like, I'm here in Montana.
That eastern
and
front.
It's the nature of our jobs, too, that I'd never been to Montana until I interviewed here. So it's just beautiful, just breathtaking. I've been basically all over the state, all the way up to North Dakota, to Kalispell.
Yep.
So I've been all over the place. I've driven about 11,000 miles in 6 months.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of miles. How's the car holding up?
Well, we're fortunate because we have a deal with Enterprise.
Oh,
so,
that's great. Put the miles on their cars.
So, yeah,
That's
exactly.
good deal. So you arrived in Montana, and what were your first impressions of scouting in Montana?
Well, so I was very, very impressed. We've got a great board, a great staff, very engaged, excellent council president. We're involved with 5 camp properties. I've been to 4 of them, and just beautiful properties, and just totally impressed. And with the volunteers, everybody's been so welcoming and very, very friendly, very nice.
Yeah. Have you noticed in the Scouts, just the kids themselves, the Scouts themselves, differences from when you came from maybe Texas or other states to Montana, or are Scouts nationwide just the best of the best?
Yeah, they're the best of the best. Honestly, I haven't really noticed a difference in Scouts from here or Texas or Long Island, New York, or wherever. Scouts are scouts, kids are kids. They're great. I would say Montana Scouts, maybe one minor difference is that they're very engaged and very devoted to the program, and just wonderful. So, but they're like that. Scouts are like that all over the country.
Yep. That's really cool to hear. That I think sometimes Montanans and Montana parents, Montana kids, they might have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and think, we grew up in Montana, we know more about the outdoors than kids everywhere. But it sounds like, hey, if you're in Scouts in any state, you're going to be exposed to a lot of the things that Montana Scouts are being exposed to.
Yeah. I agree with you that Montana is different. Every place I've worked and lived has been different. And yes, the Montana kids here, of course, you're not going to have hunting in Long Island, New York. You don't have a lot of deer or elk or anything else. So
probably
that
not
part
big
of
whitewater rafting.
Right.
Yeah,
so that part of it is very different. I would say it is much more outdoorsy here.
Yeah. To no surprise, right? It's just, we've got the elements, like you said. So you've been in Montana 6 months. You've met with countless scout leaders and executives here. Can you talk a little bit about what the future holds for Montana scouting?
I believe the future is evolving, and I think it's very, very bright. We have, like I said, the most beautiful camp properties in the country. We've built a new lodge out at K-Bar-M outside of Lewistown, and I think the future is very bright. We got a great board. We're fortunate because we got some of the best fundraisers in the country here, between Jory Dillinger and his team, our deputy scout executive. So they've endowed this council so this council can be healthy for a long, long time. So I think the future of this council is very bright, and we've recruited a little over 1,100 new scouts this fall. So, and we're going to give them a great program, and I think the future is very bright.
That's exciting.
And it's very exciting. I think that girls are involved
Yes.
now is with Scouts BSA. My daughter's, as I mentioned to you, is 32 years old, and I asked her. I said, Katie, would you have joined Scouts? And, not Girl Scouts, but and she was in Girl Scouts, and it was great. But would you also join Scouts BSA? She said, absolutely, yes. So I think that's very exciting.
I think it opens up a lot of opportunities there, and we're seeing a lot of events happening just locally. We're here in Missoula, and when we're creating Facebook events, we're seeing, there's a girl troop happening in Big Fork, girl troop happening in Hamilton, or down in the Bitterroot. So we're seeing it catch on, and it's really exciting. So if you haven't looked into that, definitely do that if you're listening. Speaking of new opportunities, I think for parents of scouts, they might say, this is something that I feel like I want to get involved in. I don't quite know how. I don't quite understand the parent's role in scouting. Can you help a listener who might be a parent understand some of the benefits or some of the opportunities that exist in scouts for them, that it's not just hey, you can drop your kid off and then go shopping for an hour and pick them back up, but there's opportunities if you're interested to get more involved. Can you explain some of those opportunities?
Well, I think the opportunities are that, first of all, I have 2 grown children, and time flies. And if you think about it, from a time a child's from starting at maybe 6 that would join Scouts, and drives a car at 16, and yes, they will be driving a car.
Right. In Montana especially.
Right, exactly. And so you just have that short window that you can get involved with your child. And scouting is a family program, and so there's a lot of opportunities to get involved with your son or daughter, and I encourage you to do that. It's a great time to be involved, and the parents are involved have a blast, whether it's Cub Scouts or Scouts BSA or whatever. So I think take advantage of that short window of time. This is an opportunity for you to spend time with your son or daughter.
And if you like the outdoors, if you like learning, I'm sure that the parents sometimes learn just as much as the kids do in these programs.
Oh, absolutely.
From different speakers that come in, or from different experiences that they have. So those shared experiences, like you said, I think that's a really great point. So parents out there, get involved. And Scouts is always looking for volunteers and people who are excited to get involved. Is that accurate?
Oh, that's very accurate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Even if you don't have a Scout, that, or maybe they graduate and you still want to get involved, there's opportunities for you. Is that accurate, or did I just make that up? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, I'm like, okay, good. Can you talk about some of your favorite aspects of your role?
Absolutely. So, just getting out and about and meeting people and meeting key volunteers, working with the board, working with the staff, getting involved in the community. I'm on the Rotary Club, and I've been in the Rotary Club just off and off my whole career, and I'm in the club in Great Falls, and it's a great club, about 80 members or so, 50, 60 people show up regularly, and been asked to be on the board in July of 2020. Just what I love about the job is just working with people. I'm not a desk person, and I sit behind a computer. It's just not me. I want to get out, meet people in the community, network, help the staff progress in their careers, and work with the board. And that's what I really love about the job.
That sounds really neat. And you mentioned 11,000 miles. Do you have a couple favorite spots that you've been as you're out on the road, or is that a tough one?
So I would say, yeah, absolutely. I would say the drive down to Helena. The drive here is beautiful through Rogers Pass.
Yeah.
last summer I drove a couple times up to Kalispell, up through Glacier National Park,
Oh wow.
which is beautiful. We have a camp on Big Fork Lake where I'm going tomorrow. 64-acre island.
Melita Island. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's one of my favorite spots. So, and our camp out at KBRM is beautiful too. So,
Yeah.
and even the eastern part of the state, out by Baker, and is even that's kind of an unusual, just beautiful spot too.
Yeah, maybe the less tourists on the eastern part of the state, but there's equal beauty to be found, indeed.
Yeah.
In
The
those
sunrises are just. I get up in see the sunrise when I'm driving. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Somehow the sky is bigger out here, isn't it?
Yeah,
It just is.
I wonder, they call it big sky.
How does that
Imagine
work?
that.
Dirk, if you weren't working for the Boy Scouts of America, what would you be doing?
So I'd probably end up going to honestly retire here in Montana. We love it here. I like to work out. I like to lift weights. I like to play golf. I'd probably visit family. I'm into animals, cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And would donate my time to that.
Cool.
So if I wasn't, and I'll still be involved in the community and Rotary and everything. So if I didn't work for the Boy Scouts or Scouting, that's probably what I would do. I'd keep busy.
Yeah, sounds
maybe
like
get a part-time job somewhere.
Yeah, sounds
I
like
can't
if
sit. I can't sit.
if you had to choose another career, it sounds like it would be something. If you had to start over again, right? It sounds like you'd give back in some way.
Yes.
Very cool. And what is one piece of advice you'd have for someone just getting started in scouting, or maybe they're on the fence, so they're thinking, "This seems like a cool opportunity." I'm deciding between football, soccer, scouting, maybe 2 out of the 3. What would you say to a parent that's sort of juggling those choices?
Well, I played sports, and I was always, third string, junior varsity, and there's no bench in scouting. Everybody's involved. Everybody participates. I would say scouting is like a big family. Whether you're in a Cub Scout pack or a troop, it's like a family, and you're nobody's left out, and it builds character. There's leadership skills that I learned when I was in scouting, and my son has learned that has lasted for a lifetime that I still use now as a CEO of a big organization, and so they will learn leadership skills. It's a fact that kids involved in scouting get better grades in school, go on to be community leaders, and become successful. And so that's what I would say, about that. So there's no bench in scouting. Everybody's involved. Everybody participates. Everybody plays.
Yeah, there's no bench in scouting. That we might need to make that the episode title today. That's really great, and thanks for sharing. That kind of concludes our questions that we had for you, Dirk. We really appreciate your time, and we really appreciate the work you're doing here in Montana for Montana Scouts. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.